Okay. Let's do this. Hello, people. Another beautiful day. Yep. Hope your five senses work. Health and strength is good or excellent. What? On a Monday. Let's see here. What do we got? Okay, Microsoft. You're going to have to take the CMA and the FTC to the Supreme Court on this. You know, the Supreme Court judges got the final say in this decision. Okay? They really do. Listen to this. So let me get this straight. The employees agreed on the deal. You got the shareholders, countries involved agreed on the deal. The European Commission agreed on the deal. Microsoft giving out 10-year contracts to people. I mean, to different cloud gaming service. And that still is not enough, huh? All right. Listen to this. But this really needs to get in front of the Supreme Court. Listen to this. FTC files injunction to block Activision Blizzard acquisition. Then it says here in all black, FTC intend to stop deal before July 18th. Remember, on July the 18th, New Zealand, they're supposed to make a decision on this too. So let me get this straight. The CMA blocked the deal, but then they put a 10-year block on the deal, right? The CMA, the FTC filed a lawsuit, tried to block the deal, but now they filed an injunction on top of the block. So basically they're doing the same thing. The FTC is doing the same thing what the CMA just did. They work hand in hand. So if they met 26 times, at some point during those 26 meetings, they had to be talking about blocking the deal. Okay? You can't speculate on this. We need physical, concrete proof. Saying it out your mouth is one thing. Saying it out in a text message, that's another. But we need physical, concrete proof on this. Okay? You got to show the public how does the deal hurt competition? Because if Microsoft bought ZeniMax Bethesda for $7.5 billion and it didn't hurt competition, how is Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard going to hurt competition? We need physical, concrete proof. Listen to this. It says here, Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard has been a long battle between gaming giants, several consumer protection bodies. While various countries accept the deal, the CMA and the FTC have blocked the merger. According to the FTC, Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard would hurt competitive market in the U.S. Following this conclusion, the FTC sued Microsoft to stop the merger between the two gaming giants. A new report by CNBC suggests that the FTC is now expected to file an injunction against Microsoft. The injunction would block the merger before the deadline on July the 18th. Why it matters. Microsoft merger with Activision holds a value of $68.7 billion. The deal can potentially change the whole gaming market, especially for Xbox. Says here, the FTC has already offered stiff opposition to Microsoft, but the regulator is looking to accelerate the process of blocking the deal. Microsoft is looking to close the deal next month, but the latest move from the FTC may complicate things for the gaming giant. Various reports now claim that this move from the FTC could mean that the process of Microsoft face-off against the regulator in court will now be accelerated. Therefore, a decision could be made in the coming days. And then it says, following the CMA decision to block the merger, reports claim that Microsoft intends to proceed with its deal, leading to potential abandonment of the UK market. However, Microsoft may consider other possibilities before abandoning the UK. And then says, still, the future of Activision acquisition remains uncertain, with Microsoft and the regulators trying their best to ensure the outcome is favorable and does not go against their plans. Then, see here, that's one article. The other article here is from Game Developer. The one from Game Developer says this. See if I can get this. It says this. Where is it? says here, report FTC to file injunction to block Microsoft Activision merger. The FTC continues to put the pressure on Microsoft and Activision Blizzard as the deadline for their deal is only weeks away. And then it says here, the FTC is preparing to file an injunction against Microsoft merger with Activision Blizzard. CNBC reported that the U.S. regulator is aiming to block the attempt merger even further following its lawsuit against the Xbox creator in December 2022. Says here, as regulators in other countries have voiced their approval for the merger, the U.S. and the UK have been notably holdouts. This injunction further complicates things for both companies, especially as the deal summer deadline is drawing closer. In December, the FTC chairperson Lena Khan said the regulator wanted to stop Microsoft from gaining control over a leading independent game studio and using it to harm competition. There's no proof of that. Anyway, it says here, it says here, following the lawsuit, Microsoft argued that it wouldn't lock off any Activision Blizzard franchise to its ecosystem. Similarly, Activision Blizzard said the FTC had not only lost sight of the realities of intensely competitive gaming industry, but also guiding principles of our nation's antitrust laws. At the time of writing this, regulators' reasoning for its injunction has not been released to the public. And it says, like the CMA over in the UK, Microsoft has been playing defense with the FTC and look outside help in recent months. Earlier this year, it issued a subpoena to Sony, which has been one of the more vocal companies against the merger. Sony had tried to block or delay those subpoenas, but in March it was ordered to send over internal documents to Microsoft. And that is the end of the article. Well, you can't say it's going to harm competition. If the Microsoft ZeniMax Bethesda deal did not harm competition, and Microsoft spent billions of dollars on that studio, then the Activision Blizzard merger, it won't harm competition, and it won't even stop competition, because the game industry will continue to grow. New studios are being formed, whether through people coming together through like education systems, or people meeting at gaming shows like Gamescom, E3, Summerfest, all those little gaming shows that they have. That's how studios are formed, where people where people meet and greet, and they decide to go into a video game and they stay committed to it because they love video games. So Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard will not stop competition at all. The CMA and the FTC saying that is all speculation. I mean, saying it in a text message is one thing. Talking face to face is one thing. But we need physical, concrete proof. And if you ain't got that, then you really ain't. The CMA and the FTC do not have an argument. They really don't. They're just speculating. And you cannot rely on past history, because what happens in the past is different from what happens in the is different from what happens in the future, so to speak. So they speculating that it's going to harm competition. It really isn't, especially when Microsoft is sitting here giving out 10-year contracts to help cloud gaming service get access to games and get bigger in the industry. It's not going to harm competition. So they are, to me, speculating when you really look at this whole situation. Sony and Google is mad that Microsoft really, when you really look at this, beat them to the punch of this. Because if you made $120 billion in 2022, that means you had the money to go to buy Activision Blizzard. You just didn't react in time, and that's what this comes down to. Google is the same thing. They had the Stadia. When the situation first started, they did not jump at this. Okay? They didn't jump at it. Microsoft did. Microsoft beat everybody to this. And then you have Tencent. Then there's Amazon. So there's companies out there with big pockets that could have snatched up Activision Blizzard. Okay? So Sony and Google are mad that Microsoft beat them to the punch. Okay? And then the CMA and the FTC, they have to explain how is it that you're quick to block the Microsoft Activision Blizzard merger while the both of you were sitting there letting Sony putting time exclusive on games and then blocking them from coming to Xbox. They got some explanation to do. So they cannot speculate. They cannot speculate on this and say, "Oh, it's going to harm competition." Prove it. If Microsoft didn't, if the ZeniMax Bethesda deal didn't harm competition, then the same can be said for the Activision Blizzard deal. To me, the FTC and the CMA is trying to help Sony here. This is all about helping Sony. Okay? That's why they put these blocks in. They filed the injunction. You put a 10-year block. So now you're giving Sony time now to catch up in the cloud gaming market, where Microsoft is ahead in the cloud gaming market. That's all these blocks mean. They're trying to help Sony catch up in the cloud gaming market. But Sony had a chance to take cloud gaming seriously, because when they came in the game industry with the PlayStation 1, they should have been on online play from day one. The difference between Microsoft and Sony is that Microsoft jumped on online play the moment they came out with Xbox, the original Xbox. Sony didn't get on online play until like PlayStation 2. So Microsoft was already on this. Sony was always playing catch up. So to me, the CMA and the FTC is really helping Sony here with these blocks. They want Sony to maintain their market share in the video game industry. Okay, and they want to make Microsoft look bad. But Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard does not stop the video game industry from growing. It doesn't. And just because you buy a studio, it doesn't mean that the game industry stops moving. Okay? Microsoft has ZeniMax Bethesda. Okay, they got Elder Scrolls. But was it Bandai Namco? They made who was it? Dark Soul. Not Dark Soul, but Elden Rings. So yeah, the game industry doesn't stop. The game industry doesn't stop moving just because you buy a studio. The game industry have all kind of shows and seminars, and people meet up, and studios are formed that way. Or companies lay off employees, and then the employees that get laid off, they come together and they form a studio because why? They love to create video games. So the game industry is not going to stop from growing just because Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard. Then another thing the FTC and the CMA need to explain is okay, what happened to Sony with their shooters? Why did they really stop making those games? Like SOCOM, Killzone, and Resistance. Those are 3 solid shooters that can take on Call of Duty any day if they stay consistent with it. So why did they give up their 3 shooters over Call of Duty? And that's another thing they need to explain. The CMA and the FTC is they need to explain, why were you guys trying to remove Nintendo from the picture when you were trying to use Nintendo as a scapegoat when Nintendo is a part of the game industry, and Nintendo has a big Call of Duty fan base. Why are you removing them? And why did you base this off a high-performance console market when we've been having high-performance console market? We've been having a high-performance console market since the TurboGrafx, since the Panasonic 3DO, since the Atari Jaguar, since the Neo Geo cartridge system, Neo Geo CD system. Why did you jump to that conclusion when we've been had the high-performance console market? So they got some explanation to do, but to speculate and say it's going to cause harm, We need physical concrete proof. And if you ain't got the physical concrete proof, then your blocks and your lawsuit really means nothing. So to me, Microsoft needs to take this in front of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court judges has the final say on this whole situation, all of it. The Supreme Court judges, they have the final say on this. I mean, you got municipal court, superior court, but those Supreme Court judges, yeah, they have the final say on this whole situation, and that's where Microsoft needs to take this, and put the CMA and the FTC on the hot seat, okay? Because to me, it's like they're showing Sony favoritism here, and to me, Sony and Google is mad that they did not purchase Activision Blizzard when the whole situation started. Anyway, we'll leave this video for y'all to enjoy. Nice talking to you people again. Chris, still a Star Wars and Star Trek thing. Bored, Dark Side. Go on.